Hey everyone, John Mead here, author of 50 Things to See with a Small Telescope. In this video, we're going to be talking about 4 types of telescope mounts that are on the market today. So the first type of mount is just a camera mount. So a lot of small telescopes now come on just a basic camera mount, and the reason they come like this is cost. So it's really inexpensive to put a telescope on a camera mount. So the advantage of this is mainly for terrestrial viewing. So if you're looking at objects that are on land that are far away, it's really good for that. It's not very good for looking at anything high in the sky. So a camera mount only has a limited altitude, so it can only get about that high. So if you're looking at the moon and it's up here, not such a good mount. The next type of mount is the equatorial mount. This is really popular with first telescopes, and it's a great learning scope. But it's pretty advanced at the same time. So you have these setting circles for the right ascension and declination. So if you wanted to learn the celestial coordinate system, it's a good telescope for starting with that. So the other big advantage to the equatorially mounted telescope is after you find your target, you only need to turn on one axis to keep that target in the telescope. So you turn the telescope by using the slow motion control arms. The disadvantage is that you can't just point it anywhere in the sky. You need to go with each axis in turn. So like if the object you're looking for is over there, you have to go basically up and to the left and up and to the left and so on until you find your target. You can't just point it straight at it. And that gets, the bigger the telescope, the more difficult that becomes with the equatorial mount. Anyway, so the next mount is the alt-az or altitude azimuth mount. So this is the best one for like sort of a grab-and-go telescope, or if you're just learning the sky, but you don't want to deal with the sort of celestial coordinates. So let's say you've got some stargazing software, it tells you exactly where to point. This is the telescope you want. So you can see that I can easily just point it anywhere in the sky. Well, the disadvantage of this one is after you've got your target, as it moves out of view, you need to adjust 2 slow motion control arms to keep it in the center of the eyepiece. So that's one disadvantage. The other disadvantage is that you can't use this for astrophotography without some serious modifications. But that's not the idea. The idea is a telescope that you can take apart and set up really quickly, and just one that's really easy to use. So the fourth and final type of telescope is the Dobsonian or Lazy Susan mounted telescope. And basically this is an alt-az telescope, just like this one here. The difference is you get a lot of bang for your buck. So the Dobsonian telescope and a Lazy Susan mount is definitely, you get the most telescope for your money. You can see the most stuff, the stuff that's really dim in the night sky for the least amount of money. So these, you could get a Dobsonian telescope at like an 8-inch diameter mirror for around $300 on the internet, even cheaper to get it used. Like that's going to cost you almost $1,000 on another type of mount. So to put it in perspective, this telescope, which is a 4-inch scope, and this telescope, which is a 12-inch scope, so the mirror or lens on this is only about this big, the mirror this big telescope is this big, they cost about the same amount of money. So that puts it into perspective. The downside of the Dobsonian is it is huge and it's heavy. Luckily for me, it does fit in my car, but barely. If you don't have a hatchback, it probably won't fit. You'll need an SUV or you'll need to put it on the roof. The other telescopes, not a problem. They pack up quite easily. At least this one does. So the equatorially mounted telescope, one of the other downsides is this one actually does not collapse very well at all. It's quite a lot of work to take this apart, whereas this telescope comes apart in about a minute. And actually the same with the big telescope. It's really easy to disassemble. It's just big, so you got to have a place to put it and store it and all that stuff. So I hope that's a pretty good summary. If you have any questions about what type of telescope you're looking at or what type of mount you think is best, just tell me in the comments below, And again, check out the book 50 Things to See with a Small Telescope. Not only is it good if you're new to astronomy, but it's also great for folks like me who are at many star parties a year as a quick reference guide for finding things very quickly in the sky. All right, thanks everyone. I hope you enjoyed.